L'heure est grave, le corbeau vient de se poser sur les remparts de Winterfell. Il est porteur d'un message inquiétant, la lutte pour le trône de fer a commencé.
Winter's coming.
Toute la communauté de Westeros a dès lors besoin de vous pour défendre ce symbole du pouvoir absolu. Diffusé le 17 avril dernier aux États-Unis, le Trône de Fer s'est imposé comme la série événement sur la chaîne HBO. Avec plus de 4 millions de téléspectateurs ayant suivi le premier épisode, la chaîne américaine a immédiatement annoncé la mise en route d'une deuxième saison. Action! Réjouissez-vous, car l'hiver arrive en exclusivité sur Choc. Alors, pour bien comprendre cet univers et ne pas être rapidement désarçonné par l'ennemi, rejoignez sans plus attendre tous les compagnons de cette série phénomène.
It's never been done before.
It's an epic fantasy.
I just feel incredibly proud to be a part of it.
It's got action, it's got adventure and love and passion.
I just know it's gonna be massive.
Prenez les armes, scellez vos fidèles destriers et suivez-nous, pro téléspectateurs, nous partons en quête du Trône de Fer.
If I had to describe Game of Thrones with one word, it would be power. It's about people trying to gain power. It's about people who already have power trying to keep power. And then those caught in the middle.
There's a war coming, Ned. I don't know when, I don't know who we'll be fighting. But it's coming.
Game of Thrones is about power struggles in a fantasy kingdom called Westeros.
Westeros est un continent dont la taille pourrait se comparer à celle de l'Amérique du Sud. C'est en son sein que se situe le royaume dit des 7 couronnes. Ce royaume est divisé en 9 régions, dirigées chacune par une famille suzeraine. Le roi de tout cet empire appartient à celle des Baratheons.
He's a king who led a rebellion. That's how he gained power in the first place. He's a loyal friend. He's an alcoholic. He's in mortal danger, surrounded by enemies. He's in a loveless marriage to a woman who is power crazy. It's a complex character.
Un personnage complexe et des plus démunis à la mort de son fidèle conseiller. Ne pouvant laisser le poste de main du roi vacant, Robert Baratheon décide de confier cette tâche difficile à Lord Eddard Stark, surnommé Ned pour les intimes.
Ned Stark's known as the Lord of Winterfell, which is the northern section of the Seven Kingdoms. He's a loyal man, a very decisive man, especially loyal towards the king and his family.
Your Grace, you've got fat.
Lord Stark, his best friend, his best friend in the world, I suppose, is the King, Robert, and he feels similarly about Eddard. So they've always had a good relationship. They've known each other since they were kids, and they kind of understand each other.
You're too fat for your armor.
Is that how you speak to your king?
Loyauté et amitié, il n'en faut pas plus à Ned Stark pour suivre le roi et endosser le rôle de conseiller, même s'il laisse à contre-cœur sa tendre épouse Catelyn.
Theirs is a very genuine, true marriage. They're completely devoted to each other. She respects him enormously. She challenges him.
I have no choice.
That's what men always say when honor calls.
He loves his wife very dearly. He needs her. That's why he feels unsettled about leaving her behind.
Tandis que Ned Stark prend la route de la capitale du royaume appelée Port-Réal, Jon Snow, son fils bâtard, né d'une relation adultérine, s'apprête quant à lui à devenir membre de la garde de nuit.
You might not have my name. You have my blood.
In this world, being a bastard son, he's not allowed to get anywhere. So that's why he goes to the Night's Watch, because there everyone's equal and he can rise to the top.
Ordre militaire autrefois prestigieux, la garde de nuit a pour mission de protéger le royaume. Son poste de commandement est situé au pied du mur.
The wall was built, legend has it, to keep the things in the north out. Creatures that very few people believe in anymore because they haven't been seen for thousands and thousands of years.
Il semblerait pourtant que par-delà cette immense fortification, les légendes prennent corps et se révèlent des plus menaçantes. Mais le danger ne vient pas que de l'extrême nord. Il se situe également sur le continent Est et il s'appelle Viserys Targaryen.
Viserys Targaryen has spent his entire life trying to get back the Iron Throne, which he believes was stolen from his family.
Considérant Robert Baratheon comme un usurpateur depuis qu'il arracha de force le pouvoir des mains de sa famille, Viserys Targaryen souhaite aujourd'hui récupérer le trône qui lui revient de droit.
Soon you will cross the narrow sea and take back your father's throne. The people drink secret toasts to your health. They cry out for their true king.
I love the fact that he is, you know, on the nastier side and you know, and acts upon his convictions, but they're all grounded. You know exactly why he's doing that, because he's the king and he needs to get there, and it's very straightforward. And that's kind of liberating, so you don't have to try and please other people and what they're thinking. You just go and do that, and if I want that off you, I'll get it.
Pour ce personnage retors et déterminé, tous les moyens sont bons pour revenir au pouvoir. Aussi, n'hésite-t-il pas à offrir sa sœur en mariage à Khal Drogo en échange d'une armée pour reconquérir le Trône de Fer.
Where's he going?
The ceremony is over.
But he didn't say anything. Did he like her?
Trust me, Your Grace. If he didn't like her, we'd know.
Khal Drogo is a savage beast. He's a lion mixed with a silverback.
Face à un tel colosse et sa horde de barbares, on comprend que la fragile Daenerys soit quelque peu anéantie, même si derrière ce visage angélique se cache une véritable battante.
The first time you see my character, she's incredibly submissive and she's very kind of quiet and introverted and does as she's told. But the wonderful thing about my character is that from day one, I think, from birth, because she is a Targaryen and because she has got so many strong men in her family and strong men to look up to, the fire inside her is there.
Fantaisie, complot, cupidité, menaces et affrontements, voilà de quoi est forgé le Trône de Fer. Un univers complexe et dense, tout droit sorti de l'esprit fécond d'un seul homme, George Martin. C'est après avoir découvert l'arcane des épées de Tad Williams que George Martin envisage d'écrire des romans de fantasy. S'inspirant de la guerre des Deux Roses et des Rois Maudits, il crée la saga A Song of Ice and Fire, en français, Le Trône de Fer.
These books are very adult fare. It's fantasy done for adults.
Bien qu'il ait envisagé de n'en faire qu'une simple trilogie, George Martin se laisse emporter par la richesse de son univers. Au final, la série de romans compte à ce jour 4 tomes et 3 autres sont en cours de préparation.
There's plots within plots and wheels within wheels and many people competing for one seat.
It's a story where everybody is pursuing their own interest and everybody is following their own code, and this provides a much richer story than the guys in white beating the guys in black.
Depuis sa parution en 1996, cette saga affiche un succès croissant de par le monde. Avec bon nombre de prix littéraires à son actif, elle est traduite en 18 langues. Un véritable triomphe pour une série d'ouvrages de fantasy.
Cette série, ce qu'elle a de particulier par rapport à pas mal d'autres séries de fantasy, c'est qu'elle est tout à fait lisible par des gens qui n'aiment pas la fantasy. C'est-à-dire qu'on est vraiment sur des ressorts de récits historiques et pas sur du merveilleux.
Peu de magie et beaucoup de complots, voilà la recette idéale pour séduire le plus grand nombre. En tout cas en France, depuis 1998, la formule fait mouche.
Aujourd'hui, c'est une série qui tourne très bien, surtout en poche. Il y a quand même pas mal de lecteurs en grand format, mais c'est surtout en poche que ça cartonne. En grand format, on est environ à 10 000 au titre, et en poche, on est environ à 50 000 au titre.
Des chiffres de vente élevés, tout comme le nombre de fans de la saga. Des fans qui partagent régulièrement leur enthousiasme sur les forums du site lagardenuit.com.
En fait, l'objectif du site, c'est de réunir tous les fans français, francophones, du Trône de Fer, et de créer une communauté vivante et qui interagit pour échanger les points de vue sur le trône, en fait, et aussi les différentes théories qu'on peut avoir en attendant la sortie des différents tomes.
Mais l'engouement pour cette saga va bien au-delà des romans. Alors, afin de satisfaire les fans et de les immerger un peu plus dans cet univers fantasy, c'est toute une série de jeux qui fit son apparition.
Ça a commencé par un jeu de cartes à collectionner, un peu dans le style de Magic, célèbre jeu de cartes à collectionner qui est apparu au début des années 90. Après, il y a eu un jeu de plateau, un jeu de société, et là c'est un jeu, on va dire, diplomatique, un jeu qui part du principe du risque. Et c'est très récemment, il y a 2 ans, qui est apparu, le Trône de Fer, nouvelle version en jeu de rôle, car il permet finalement aux joueurs de se mettre dans la peau d'une famille de nobles dans l'univers du Trône de Fer et de vivre donc cette ambiance de conflits familiaux, de guerres larvées, de trahison, d'intrigues de cour, exactement ce qui se passe dans les romans.
Respecter les romans, voilà le maître mot de tous les produits dérivés qui gravitent autour de la saga. Autant dire que la communauté de fans attend la série télévisée au tournant et n'hésite pas à émettre ses inquiétudes.
Je pense qu'il y avait quelques craintes au niveau du casting, parce que quand on lit un livre, on se fait toujours une idée assez précise des personnages, de leur apparence physique, de la façon dont ils se comportent, de leur gestuelle.
Que la communauté se rassure, le casting est à la hauteur de l'œuvre de George Martin. Tout le monde s'accordera sur le choix de Sean Bean, ex-Boromir du Seigneur des Anneaux, dans le rôle de Ned Stark.
Winter is coming.
Peter Dinklage est l'interprète idéal pour incarner l'impertinent Tyrion Lannister.
All dwarves are bastards in their father's eyes.
Quant aux autres personnages essentiels de l'histoire tels que Cersei et Jaime Lannister, on ne croit pas se tromper en disant que Nikolai Coster-Waldau et Lena Headey sont des plus ressemblants.
As your brother, I feel it's my duty to warn you. You worry too much. It's starting to show.
And you never worry about anything.
Mais qu'en pense la communauté?
Le casting, en gros, c'est une très bonne surprise.
Et tenez-vous bien, car des bonnes surprises, il va y en avoir beaucoup d'autres. Le casting parfait n'est pas le seul gage de qualité de cette série, loin de là. Les créateurs se sont surpassés, aussi bien pour respecter l'œuvre de George Martin que pour concevoir un spectacle digne de ce nom. Entre 50 et 60 millions de dollars, c'est le budget alloué à cette première saison du Trône de Fer. Une somme rondelette, même pour une série historique, puisqu'elle surpasse de loin celle octroyée aux Tudors. Mais gros moyens riment-ils avec qualité? En l'occurrence, oui.
We have created a world that is on one hand very recognizable, at the same time it has been peppered with fantasy elements. And the way those two things come together is going to fascinate people.
Afin d'en mettre plein la vue tout en restant fidèles à l'œuvre originale, les créateurs de la série ont en toute logique fait appel à George Martin.
George Martin is the creator of this world and came to set a couple weeks ago. He said it's like walking into one of my dreams.
It was this incredible moment of, my God, they've got it right. There it is. The majority of my fans are going to be very happy because they're going to see the story that I told come alive, played by some fantastic actors.
À œuvre grandiose, décor grandiose. Et quoi de mieux que la diversité des paysages proposés par l'Irlande du Nord pour retranscrire parfaitement l'atmosphère des romans.
There are mountains and there are fertile green fields and there are beautiful old-growth forests and there's just such a range of environment.
Mais le Trône de Fer, ce n'est pas que neige et montagne, c'est aussi soleil et beaux rivages. Et là, c'est à Malte que l'équipe de production a trouvé son bonheur.
Malta was also chosen because it had a fantastic coastline. A lot of our story has to do with the continent separated by a narrow sea.
We are shooting in 17 or 18 different locations in Malta. The advantage of Malta is that there are so many different types of locations that you can find something to suit practically any requirement. Anything Mediterranean, North African, Southern European, we can kind of more or less find here, and we can dress it to cover any period.
Bien que Malte et Belfast proposent des paysages superbes, il a tout de même fallu concevoir une série de décors afin de donner vie à cet univers fantasy.
You try and create a world that's based in real physics, even if it's fantasy. There has to be a reality to it, or it will just look like a set. So you're always trying to think, right, how would these people live? What would they need? Why would they put things where they do? How would it be? Construction drawings are what we do most of. We might do 400 drawings on this. Every department needs those drawings to one degree or another. But every single thing that someone makes has to be drawn. And that's what the art directors and assistant art directors and draftsmen do. They're there to create the reams of paper, which then get sent out and hopefully communicate to everybody what it is we're trying to achieve. Models are there when the plans or the designs are more complex, and 3 dimensions is clearer than 2.
Our brief was to try to combine interesting visual elements from a lot of different societies and periods. So we spent a lot of time researching medieval Europe. We looked at Oriental influences, we looked at Asian influences, we looked at the subcontinent, we looked at African influences. We tried to find references from a lot of different civilizations in different times and combine them.
It's unbelievable, really, because when you read a scene in a book, you kind of start to imagine what's going to be like. And then you get on set and you think it's better.
So I remember the first time I came to the paint hall in Belfast, called the paint hall, where we shot. It was where they painted the Titanic, so it's a huge studio now. I just remember walking on set, and then outside there was all these huge set pieces just lying there scattered around, and I just thought, wow, this is big. And then I walked in and I came into, which was the throne room,
it was just magnificent, huge.
The throne room is magnificent. I'm very excited about the throne. The inspiration actually came very strangely last autumn. I went to Rome for a weekend, just very last minute with my husband. I went to the Pantheon, and they've got this exquisite floor. So that's what the floor was based on. I wanted to try and make that feel incredibly sort of cathedral-esque. So we went very much for to feel that it just goes on and on and on, and those pillars go up and up and up and up and up, and the windows go up and up and up. And then those rather nice kind of friezes, I think, you know, with the hunting scenes. It's the throne room. It's gorgeous. I mean, it's been one of the most fantastic things to design.
The centermost prop in Westeros is the Iron Throne, so we wanted to get it right.
Obviously, we'd made a model of it in the art department. We made an initial model, but we worked out how we were going to do it, the kind of general take on it. We had a lovely prop maker here called Gavin, who did lots of stuff, and they made it. And I think it's a hugely wonderful piece of work.
It's quite a frightening piece. It is literally blackened swords bent into a throne, and it's melted and pitted and hammered and uncomfortable, which is what it's supposed to be.
Un trône plus vrai que nature, tout comme la nourriture. Et oui, ne pensez pas que ces petits plats sont cuisinés par un chef étoilé. Ce sont bel et bien les décorateurs qui se chargent de les mijoter.
Most of it is prop food, so it might be real food, but it's then being glazed and varnished, so it can sit on the table for an amount of time without sort of perishing. We have the edible food for the repeat, for the people to actually be eating, you know, meat or bread, but it's nice to get big sculptural shapes and pieces, and you can actually treat it just like a prop and make it, mold it, and then paint it. And if you don't have to eat it, it can be solid. It doesn't rot. It's an easy way of doing it.
The whole art department have done an amazing job, and even, I mean, the prop department. We had a scene in the episode 1 where we all sitting. There's a feast. We're eating. Now the food. They'd found these recipes from the Middle Ages, and they cooked all this food following these recipes. So, and we could eat everything. So everything was. Well, they didn't have to do that, but that just shows the detail that they wanted to achieve.
Time for bed. So Winterfell is far more basic. You know, they haven't got the money, and the produce is different. They're further north, so. It's a lot of meat, basically, and some, you know, we've got some colours into the root vegetables and things like that. A little bit of fruit, but less. I mean, the fruit's a big kind of King's Landing thing, but up there, it's quite bleak. It's you know, permanent winter, so it's more root vegetables and meat.
Tout le monde a le souci du détail. Le département costume ne déroge pas à la règle. 80 personnes sont à pied d'œuvre pour concevoir et réaliser la multitude de costumes nécessaires à la série.
The whole idea of this, I think from the start, was not to make it like a costume drama. It's like, it's not velvet dresses and pretty things all the time. When you watch it, you can really believe you could be there. These are real people with foibles, and they sweat and they love, obviously, and it's not doctored and it's not sanitized. When I first started, sort of decided to just research across the board. We just sort of immersed ourselves in museums and books and paintings, and sort of looked at Persian and Inuit and Mongol, Japanese, everything.
Is this your first time in the North, Your Grace?
Yes. Lovely country.
The North became actually the most English medieval look. It's much blacker and darker.
It's a cold place. It's a place where it's probably too cold for farming. It's very beautiful, harsh, rugged terrain like the northern parts of Scotland.
The Night Watch, when we join it, is in decline and has been for some time. Everything that they wear there, it'll be mostly padding, fur, not really metal armor, because obviously you can't wear that in the cold. It's impractical. But it's not a uniform because they're not funded enough to do that anymore. And they sort of live, eat, sleep in the same costume. So it just has to almost smell. You go south, obviously, looking across to King's Landing. They're near the sea, they can trade, they have silks, they have colours. We've decided, really, through the buildings, through the architecture, and through the climate, to make it much more Persian, I guess, in feel.
Tissu, cuir et autres fourrures, c'est bien beau, mais en période de conflit, ça ne protège guère son homme. Rien ne vaut la cotte de maille et la bonne vieille armure.
We have to fit that extremely well, almost like a fitted suit. And from that point, we kind of get to the final manufacture. We do the finishing, and we would build usually in real materials, so it's steels and leathers and chainmails and brass and so on, to make some kind of functional but hopefully quite a nice looking piece that these guys are going to be happy with.
That's the thing about armor like this. To imagine that people would actually fight in this is beyond me. I mean, it's not that comfortable, but it looks fantastic.
Qui dit armure, dit bien sûr arme. Là encore, on fait dans l'original. Pas question de prendre la première dague médiévale venue, les lames, on les fait faire sur mesure.
Between costume armory, costume, stunts, choreography-wise, fight choreograph, it has to be a fine balance all round, because at the end of the day, they have to make it look believable as well. They can't be just pretty and not be able to move. They have to have a physical manner, because obviously the actors have to use them as well, depending on what fight choreographer wants and what the action's going to be with the swords. They can't be too fragile. The steel, and again, the steel is only purely for aesthetics, purely for close-up on camera.
Et pour éviter que les acteurs ne se décapitent par inadvertance, on a fait appel à un spécialiste des combats. Avec 3, La Vengeance dans la peau, Le Choc des Titans et The Dark Knight à son actif, Buster Reeves était clairement l'homme de la situation.
We worked with a wonderful fight director called Buster, and we didn't have much time to learn the fights, but Buster was brilliant, and you can pretend that you're a hard warrior.
It's actually quite hard nowadays to make a fight look original. It's like trying to make a song different. I mean, all the notes are the same, you just got to put them in a different order and a different tempo to make it different. But it's actually hard to find that balance now without people going, oh, that moves from that and that moves from that. Dothraki, that's an odd one. Again, a lot had to play in how they are as a tribe, and obviously with the weapon. I mean, that for me was a little bit more difficult, because it's pretty much the same principal movements like a sword work, but obviously with the different style of blade, you might attack somewhere a different way. Instead of going 1, 2 that way, you might come that way to back that way, and then so instead of going 1, 2, you'll find different planes to fight on, which is always good. For some reason, they like having multiple man fights in this. We had the Hill Tribe fight where usually it was about 3, 4, 5, 6 guys onto one, because obviously it's an ambush, so it's trying to make each one look different and look cool at the same time.
Si après toutes ces démonstrations, vous n'êtes toujours pas persuadé de la minutie dont font preuve les créateurs à l'égard de cette production, voilà qui devrait vous convaincre. Sachez qu'un dialecte fut entièrement créé de toutes pièces pour les besoins de la série.
What's he saying?
He says yes.
We actually thought it would be much more believable if we heard them speaking their own language rather than have them speak in heavily accented English.
When you're creating a language that's supposed to look like a natural language, first you must start with the culture. There are actually in Dothraki more words for kill than for love.
You know, one of the first things Benioff and those guys told me when I got there was that I had to learn this language. Because originally I did it in broken English. And they kind of told me like, well, we've got really great news. We're going to do all your stuff in subtitled and you're going to learn this language. And I'm kind of like, excuse me, what language? And they're like, oh, it's this made up language. And this Berkeley linguistic made it up. It's like German/Arabic. I'm like, I don't even speak the language, so I'm a little scared. You know, want to take the challenge, and you know, it's an absolute honor. So when I learned that language, it totally transformed. Like I couldn't play Drogo without it. It would not be what it is. It is absolutely phenomenal.
Que vous soyez déjà fan du Trône de Fer ou simplement amateur de complots royaux, admettez que tout est fait dans cette série pour vous satisfaire. C'est en tout cas le souhait de tous.
Everybody involved loves the books. To a man.
I think most fans will enjoy this version.
The production design, the swords, everything, it was just everyone's in their A game. It's an amazing thing to be a part of.
Choisissez votre camp, endossez les couleurs de votre fratrie et engagez-vous dans cette saga unique en son genre. Car on ne sait jamais, au final, c'est peut-être à vous que le Trône de Fer reviendra de droit.
People who are not among the fan base who will be absolutely amazed to discover a world that is so intriguing and so fascinating and much closer to their own experience than they would have ever imagined.
It's very different from anything that's been done. I can't think of another fantasy which is as gritty and as real.
That doesn't really matter if you are traditionally a fan of the fantasy genre. It's once you become invested in the characters, you care about what's going to happen to them.
You don't know which way it's going to turn and what avenue it's going to go. There's always something new around the corner, something surprising.